Hi Lifestyle Asia, I'm Mario Carbone. This is 27 questions. My first job was probably working with my dad, landscaping, as a kid. My dad had a second job, landscaping on the weekends, and I helped him. I think one dish without the other is just one dish, and like it's not as important anymore. I don't know if one dish has it. They all need each other. Consistency. I think that my friends use friend of ours as a phrase. That's a very sort of Italian-American kind of wise guy thing. It's like when you introduce somebody and you say, this is a friend of ours, even though they've never met them, that means that this is a person that's been pre-approved. You know, for all the skyscrapers and skylines, when you get into the boroughs of the cities and the blue-collar people that have built it, you know, it's very easy to get distracted by the famous landmarks and the big buildings, but actually getting into the neighborhoods of places like where I'm from, that's where I think that the heartbeat of the city is in those places, and those people, they're the ones that actually built it. Change New York? I don't want to change New York. Nas, the rapper Nas, who's a Queens native, rap about the restaurant and the name and the brand was a really high honor, because he's one of my favorite rappers of all time, but also he's from Queens, where I'm from. Morning person, yeah. I'd be screwed. I don't know how to do anything else, maybe fashion. Carbone, the original Carbone in New York, the original restaurant that we inhabited, it was a very old Italian restaurant called Rocco that became Carbone. And we left the sign outside that said Rocco. We just put Carbone on top of it. When I was doing the brand, I kind of wanted to create this fictional school or fictional church. So you often get Our Lady of as a prefix to something. Like even Notre Dame, you know, means Our Lady of in French. Our Lady of Rocco, the original restaurant, sort of as a homage to this building that we give thanks to. I don't know. It's this very I don't know, poetic thing that I thought, giving thanks to the original building. I like to snack on sweet things, even though it's not good for me. In the kitchens, we make like a mix of candies. So something sour, something gummy. It's always, everyone kind of adds to it. You know, it's busy and it's difficult. And when you get that break in the middle of the dinner and like for like 1 minute, there's no tickets. Like you kind of like open up a container of candy and you like pass it around and everyone gets like a little sugar rush for a second, and then you go right back to working. So I like those like gummy sour candy mixes. I chose Black Sheep. That's kind of what I say about it. Like our goal wasn't to build a restaurant in Hong Kong, and it happened reverse of the way people think. Like we weren't in Hong Kong looking for some place and found Black Sheep. We found Black Sheep and they were like, oh well, we run restaurants in Hong Kong. We're like, okay, great, let's do Carbone in Hong Kong. Like I wanted them and I trusted them to run the brand. They happened to be running Hong Kong. The hope is that the city itself is what makes it unique. Like I try to make it the same, and then I kind of like let the city over time take over and make it theirs. And each one takes a little bit of a different identity. You know, the one in Las Vegas feels different than New York, feels different than Miami, feels different than Hong Kong. At the core, they're all the same. So the difference is the city. My first meal at Holy Fook 10 years ago was an incredible, just kind of an eye-opening experience. It told me so much about Black Sheep. It was an incredible meal. The camaraderie, I remember that experience. I don't have a lot of skills. I can't sing or dance. What am I good at? I don't know, nothing. Useless. I think aside from cooking, I'm useless to this world. I don't know. I think you can be inspired anywhere. I think every place has something. Keep your eyes open, explore, talk to people, be inquisitive, be curious, eat. There's something everywhere. Champagne. My dad told me when I was young that, you know, like kind of father to son, he didn't care what I became, as long as whatever I chose was something that I actually worked hard and did well with pride. Telling that to a little kid, I think, was really powerful. When you get the pressures of what you're going to become, kind of took that away early on. I think early on, a lot of people wanted me to be this sort of TV celebrity chef. They just assumed that that's what path I would take, given that the restaurants were gaining a lot of momentum in New York, and it was never really for me. I don't know, people couldn't understand that I didn't want to be famous like that. And I'm really happy that I stuck to that kind of philosophy, and Carbone the person and Carbone the brand are separated. And I think that's helped me live a healthier life. Home, whether it's my house or my parents' house or whatever home is, getting yourself out of the commercial environment and being home, hanging out with my dog and my girl, and that's away. So that's far enough away. I'm an old soul. I listen to Frank Sinatra and, Dean Martin, the music that we play in the restaurants. My Way's cliche, but it's something like that. I don't know. I like listening to live albums. I like to hear the crowd. I like the noise of. I've always liked the noise of busy. So I think it would be like something from the Frank Sinatra live album, 1965 at the Sands. Back room, Copacabana, smoke-filled room, patent leather shoes. That's my vibe. Well, I think if you've never run a restaurant, there's a huge amount that goes on behind the scenes that goes unnoticed. There's so many hours that are spent before and after the actual service of the restaurants that go into these things. I think there's so many compliments in just people coming to celebrate with you, right? Like anyone choosing to celebrate at the restaurants or to come here to take their hard-earned money and come for a birthday or an anniversary or just a Tuesday night, whatever it is. That's a huge compliment. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for choosing us. There's so many places you could have come. So I think it's important to recognize all those little compliments. The first time Jay-Z walked in, I almost passed out. As a New Yorker, it went directly from Frank Sinatra to Jay-Z, like kind of chairman of the board, like he took over. So to have him walk in the room the first time was, I tried to be cool, but if I could see a video of that moment, there's no chance I was like, cool. At the same time, you want to treat them like anybody, that they want that, Take care of them like you would take care of anybody. My grandfather, yeah, he was a huge inspiration as a kid, and not a professional chef, but was always cooking, was an incredible cook. My first inspiration, and passed away before I really was ever out of school. It would be nerve-wracking to cook for him. I've actually never thought about that. Yeah, I wish I could have. My last meal would probably be sitting inside of Carbone, New York, surrounded by my closest people. At that point, I don't think it matters who's cooking. Next is dinner service.